personal I am begins with an encounter with our Creator. When we approach God through Jesus Christ, we can confidently say, I am a child of God. We can say with absolute assurance, I am uniquely created by God for a purpose and destiny, and I am called and chosen. When we meet God in His I am, we discover our own I am, because our truest identity statement begins with whom God says I am. We are not defined by what surrounds us, but by God's Spirit that lives within us. We are not defined by past failures, generational curses, or current trends and prejudices. We are defined by God's love and eternal forgiveness. We are who God says we are. When rejection and discouragement attempt to define us, we don't have to tolerate it. We can rise above perpetual victimization or entitlement and shout, "That's not who I am." With God's blessing, we push back against everything that raises its head against the knowledge of God in our hearts. We push back against an enemy that confines our identity to skin color, health, wealth, and pedigree by embracing the identity God gives us through His Word. Having a strong grasp of personal identity derived from the Creator God is what led the ancients to act as they did, to face down pharaohs and lions, endure fiery furnaces, overcome violent persecution, and stand up for God against His enemies and theirs. It's what led them to write things like, "Even in prison, yet will I praise you," because they couldn't go anywhere, do anything, or face anything that threatened whom they knew themselves to be. That kind of perseverance derives from a foundation of identity. My brother, Eli, is raising children with Dominican, Mexican, Anglo, and Palestinian heritages. Culture may try to place them in oversimplified boxes, categorizing them based on their differences and regarding them with prejudice or bigotry. In this book, aptly titled Mixed, Eli has provided his children and their future children a pathway to settle any identity crisis that may arise. It will do the same for you and your children and the next generation. I encourage you to face today's complicated issues with courage. Stop evaluating yourself by external means and embrace the complexities of your existence so you can discover the blessing of being created as a unique being. Let Eli's words and tools, with their scriptural underpinnings, lead you to a greater reverence for God's divine design and a deeper relationship with Him that leads you to a louder I am, a stronger identity, and a more abundant life. Reverend Samuel Rodriguez, lead pastor of New Season Church, president and CEO of National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference, author of Persevere with Power, and executive producer of Breakthrough and Flamin' Hot.
Hi, I'm Eli, and I'm mixed. Now, when I say that, you've seen my picture on the back cover, and you probably have an idea of what that means. Maybe you could make the statement with your name too. Or maybe that's not how you would describe yourself. But I know you have an identity. And sometimes it bumps against the labels culture tries to put on you, just like mine does. How do I know this? Because defying labels is a human thing, and it seems to be front and center in so many conversations these days. That's why this book exists. Mixed was written through the lens of a multi-ethnic millennial, me, trying to make sense of the conversations the world is having about identity. When group dynamics hinge on shallow concepts like physical appearance and stereotypical cultural distinctions, what happens to those of us who don't quite fit the mold of any particular group? We're all much more complex than our labels might suggest. As I've tried to determine where and how I belong in this world, I've asked a lot of questions. What if the conversations we've had around identity, inclusion, and unity